I didn't think they were going to get this pissed off.
Just shut up and keep driving.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inforunner podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the Banu Merchantmen. Last episode, we gave this ship a lot of love, so we decided to talk a little bit more about this in detail. I'm Dasein was here.
And this is Hayes. The Banu Merchantmen's actually one of my favorite ships. Rare alien design, a dedicated industry ship. It's like a jack of all trades, master of two. It's faster and better armed than Hull C. It doesn't necessarily require an escort. It's also one of the ships that's going to get one of the largest price increases. You're going to see a really large jump, like Starfarer size jump, because this was a phase 2 industry ship that's already quite large, and it was before they brought out most of the larger ships. No, they also didn't get around to adding that sort of alien tax. So if it raised up by $100, it would not surprise me.
Yes.
And this pretty much makes the best bang for buck you're going to get.
Definitely. The Banu is the best bang for the buck, but let's talk about a couple misconceptions as well as a few things of speculation, which I think you guys might want to look at. The first thing is the guns. The guns on the Banu are massive forward-facing guns. They have to be at least size 7 because look at them. They're literally the size of the bridge, the two front ones, and then the top ones look a little bit smaller.
Oh, look, they've made this too large. Like, I don't trust CAG. The idea that they'd put a size 7 gun on an actual ship of this size, they're not going to do it. They're going to try and nerf this down to something like the Starfarer has with its 2 front-facing unmanned turrets, and they're going to try and put the big cannon on the top. They're going to try and split that into another turret with 2 small size 5s or small size 4s on it, because they need to balance this against all the other ships. I know the concepts look wonderful in this, but I just don't trust CAG to keep it to the concept. I think this is going to change.
Well, the thing, if you look at the guns, I think the 2 front guns are going to be forward-firing guns, which means I think they will still keep it as size 7, because if you look at it, those front guns, I guarantee you it has a little bit of give to the left, a little to the right, but not too much. If you look at the size, the way that one bar is on the Banu, it's not going to be able to have very much more than a forward firing arc, which means that size 7 is a good way of balancing it out, because you're not going to have enough freedom of movement to really hit fighters. So you're going to be able to nail right into something a little bit heavier, like a Cutlass, or if you're going to be having a Connie or some of those type of stuff going for you. That's what it looks like. The top turret, on the other hand, looks like it's going to be more of your anti-fighter turret, something a little bit smaller, maybe a 3 or 4.
Oh, look, there's no doubt about it. It's going to have some kick. I'm just not sure where it's going to sit in that hierarchy. Because, the Merchantman is supposed to be a militia ship, and in that field alone, it's going to be the escort ship of choice. Merchantmen are designed to be ready to go to war when they're called upon, because each planet and system of the Banu have all of the trade fleet as an active militia ready to go to war when the time is called. This actually gives it a great deal of role diversity. Well, it's one of those escort ships that are larger, slower, but has a fair amount of force projection. But it's also one of those ships that you can run at cost neutral or even cost positive thanks to the cargo space. You should be able to run some cargo with it and turn a profit whilst also providing a force projection at the same time. You could even go so far as this idea of having Banu MM traveling in like wolf packs. And then anyone who actually wanted to cross against that would need a very sizable force to have any chance of probably even getting out alive.
You may have that. The wolf packs have some merit, but the big thing that I'm seeing as an issue is it's okay to have a couple cost neutral escorts, but when you really think about it, you have a major danger with running cost neutral escorts, because yes, you're offsetting your cost of operating, but each ship that you lose, because your escorts aren't there to add extra cargo, they're there to actually protect it. That means your dedicated hull series that you're protecting. So let's say you're in a convoy and there's a couple hull series. Your job is to actually stall the enemy and interfere with that, which means you're going to risk losing all that cargo. So if you lose your vessel, you're not just losing a vessel, you're losing all the cargo on it, increasing the loss that you have.
Yeah, you wouldn't run like 100% Banu. You might mix that up, but let's say 50% of your force projection was Banu merchantmen. That might make a bit of sense. And then you'd have faster, lighter ships as actual escorts. But it should offset a large part of the actual military costs going into running that cargo run. And just adding Banu merchantmen in, as opposed to, let's say, taking Hull C, allows you to more safely traverse dangerous space, as opposed to, running just Hull Cs and then bringing just escorts along.
An unfair comparison right there, because the whole sea is going to be more of a safe space where you might have just one or two Banu just for force projection. But there's really no point, being as, again, the Banu carries almost as much cargo as the whole sea, so why in the world would you even have a whole sea in the first place and not just have Banu?
Well, this is the thing. It's no point in buying a Hull C when for an extra $50 you get a little bit more cargo, actual sort of military grade weapons and armor and speed. I mean, I don't care how much modularity a Hull C does. It won't let you do your main job better, which is force projection, protection, and being to move from A to B faster. It's worth that $50.
Well, it is a traveling bazaar as well, which is kind of nice because you can actually sell your goods directly from it, which may be good in some of the lower security sectors. But the thing is, you also, with this ship, have a protected cargo hold, which is extremely important, being as not only when you have like a whole sea out there, can the whole sea it's easier to damage or capture. You have the fact that I could probably shoot off the cargo off the spokes if I'm a pirate, and the protected cargo hold on the Banu makes it really hard to actually get to that cargo or blow a hole and try to suck some of it out into the vacuum of space.
They have talked about the idea of cargo sustaining damage, and perhaps that will actually lose the value of your cargo if you come under attack, and you won't be earning as much money. So, there is that there, the idea that the Banu can take a couple of hits and still have its cargo mostly intact. The cargo bay brings in a lot of other interesting ideas as well, because it is one of the few cargo holds that is directly open to space. These sort of allow you to perhaps load in vehicles up through there. You could use that for planetary landings. It also gives you the option for doing salvage in space.
It definitely does give you a lot of options there, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Banu was actually outfitted stock with a standard issue tractor beam or stasis containers, being as the Banu, lore-wise, are actually known for actually some slave trading, which means that type of ship would be very useful for bounty hunting. So you could actually use this ship as a bounty hunter, like use it as bait, or maybe even use it to go after some heavy defended stuff, get in and get out, because a lot of people have been commenting based off of the way the thrusters and everything look that this ship looks like it's fast enough to be kind of a blockade runner, and the position of the guns and everything kind of support this as well.
Well, again, it's a much more offensively as opposed to defensively sort of ship. All of its guns are forward converging, and unlike most other ships, which, the Starfarer and the Hull C, they have very poor turret convergence. They're designed in a defensive manner.
So, either way, this ship is very sleek and has a lot of extras, so I really do not see the need for any of the other cargo vessels at that particular level, including Caterpillar. Even though the Caterpillar does have modularity, the Banu has the firepower to be able to do what people want to use the Caterpillar for, which is kind of like the pirate base. It has definitely the cargo capacity to take it and the ability to trade punches and get out.
Well, this is it. The Banu is a goddamn sexy ship, because it's not just looking good, it's got beauty fused with function and design to be like a long distance trade farer that can handle harsh and dangerous journeys alone. There's very few ships that sort of meet that criteria. I mean, like you said, the Caterpillar, it's not going to necessarily fly alone. It doesn't have the necessary guns. And the Starfarer is more of a defensive ship, while the Banu is sort of like a sole operating. If it does meet into trouble, it can, deal some damage and possibly get away. It's a very sort of different grade of ship.
But really, just going back in summary about this, it can do a lot. It seems like this ship will be able to do a lot more than some people have been saying, but it also looks like it is not going to be as effective against, as I said, people who think this is a great escort ship need to remember it is going to probably be weak against fighters, just looking at the size of the guns and the positioning of the guns. It doesn't look like it's going to have the ability to hit fighters as easily as other ships. And I would expect also a nerf from CIG in some way or another, whether it be a direct nerf to all the things that they've stated, or a literal major increase in price.
Well, I think they're going to do both. You'll see a huge increase in price. And look, I don't trust CIG. Think of the Vanguard. Think of the Xeon Scout. They sold these big concepts, they did many things, and then they sort of cut it around the edges. They even did it with the Buccaneer recently. There's a lot of sort of extra bits they added in. And the problem is it's been many, many years since the original Banu sort of concept. And when they sold it, they didn't just sell it with stats. They sold an idea. They sold a concept of many different images. It's sort of in flux. They could change it around the edges in a million different ways, and we just don't know which direction they're going to take. So I think, one, the price will increase, and secondly, they're going to have to change the weapons and the stats in some way. I don't think it's going to get smaller. I don't think it'll take less cargo, but I think it's just too good to be true as it is right now, which is, I'm hopeful that the Banu is going to be everything that they've sold it to be, but at the same time, I'm still skeptical about what the reality is and end up becoming.
Guys, please put your comments below. We'd love to hear, what are your thoughts? Are we completely off on some of the things about the Banu based off of the concept art and some of the stuff they've mentioned about it? Or are we dead on? I mean, what type of changes do you think CIG is going to make or will be able to make without making everyone that got the concept go, why did I get this?
Don't forget to like and subscribe. This was the Inforunner podcast. I'm Hayes.
This is Dasein was here. See you around in the verse.